San Jose Sharks prospect Cam Lund joins the show today, where we get to know about his draft process, life at Northeastern, and get to know him off the ice. Plus, we also get the latest on Nico Sturm and get caught up on some of the latest Sharks injury news. So all that and more on today's episode.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello. Welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, contributor at San Jose Hockey Now. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first listen. Proudly part of the Locked On Network, we cover your team every day. And if you want to be an everydayer, all you have to do is just follow wherever you get podcasts, or you can watch on YouTube as well, or do both. Both is great. And today we're going to get caught up on some of the latest Sharks news, talk about Nico Sturm, how the Sharks are going to try to replace him in the short term, little Logan Couture update, kind of all that. Plus, San Jose Sharks prospect Cam Lund joins the show, where we get to talk about his draft, kind of going through his draft, going to Northeastern, of course, scoring multiple hat tricks against Boston College, and get to know Cam a little bit, before we get to see him in San Jose. So before we get to all that, do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you guys by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your purchase. And I do know the Sharks do play the Desert Dogs tonight. If you want to catch every hit, every shot, every goal from the Sharks' hometown broadcast, you can do that with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Sharks. So before we do get into Cam Lund, do want to kind of get caught up on Nico Sturm, right? He left the last game. There's calling it a mid-body injury. From the sound of it, and from watching the hit, it looks like his hand or wrist, that he is hurt there. Good news is it doesn't seem like they're going to put him on IR. The expectation is he will not travel this weekend, as the Sharks play the Coyotes on Friday, and then they play the Avalanche on Sunday, both those away games. But I do expect for it doesn't seem like they're going to do IR right now. We'll see more on Friday before they did leave on Saturday or on Thursday here. So we haven't heard any call-ups or anything like that. So it sounds like we'll probably get Luke Cunnin at 3C and Philip Zadina kind of sliding it into the 4C position right now. And Zadina has been kind of meh as a center. I think he's better suited in the wings. And with Ryan Carpenter, who's still not available yet, and Logan Couture, both not available right now. It looks like the Sharks are just going to try to kind of grit through it right now without having to call anybody up. If it does go long term and maybe Carpenter is not ready or to come back as soon as we expect. And of course, we know Logan Couture is really just starting to kind of get into we'll talk about Couture here in a minute. It would be interesting to see if maybe Jacob Peterson gets a recall from the Barracuda, who has been playing center. He's been playing between Bordelot and Cardwell, and he's been doing a pretty good job there. I think he's maybe a little bit more suited for a wing position in the NHL, but again, it could be one of those where you're a little bit desperate times call for desperate measures, especially right now that the Sharks are starting to kind of, you don't have 3 of your top 5 centers available with Logan Couture, Nico Sturm, and now Ryan Carpenter. Ryan Carpenter going into the season was kind of expected to be the next guy. And with the Bordelot center experiments seem to have, they're really pushing for him to play on the wing right now. It'll be interesting to see how long Sturm is. He didn't practice, but he was on the ice after the game after the practice with no stick. Shang Peng reported, so he was doing skating drills and stuff like that. So it doesn't sound like if he's on the ice and kind of doing that type of stuff, doesn't sound like he is super injured it. Maybe it's just like a small sprain, maybe it's a jam, maybe he jammed a finger, something like that. Who knows what it is, but it could be one of those situations where he just kind of maybe kind of like Luke Cunningham, right? I know Luke Cunningham did go on IR recently, but it might be just more of a pain tolerance thing with Nico Sturm, and Nico Sturm's a tough dude. So so I think that right now they're just going to try to hang in there and see what they can get out of the third and fourth lines, and hope that your top lines who have been carrying you recently continue to do so. Logan Couture did get a good practice day, or again, good, not practice. After practice, he was on the ice for about 45 minutes and Sheng posted a video of Joe Thornton passing, with passes to Logan Couture, who was shooting on Aaron Dell, and it felt very like 2018-ish. But these are good steps, and these are all part of the steps for Logan Couture to come back. Right? Is you feel like you're healed now. You got to start to kind of push yourself a little bit and see how the body responds, see how the injury responds from that. And so, especially, we probably won't get too much for the rest of the week with the Sharks being out of town. But these are positive steps for Couture to hopefully start getting back. Maybe if he can continue to this, maybe we can start seeing him in practice, maybe on a limited basis, but start seeing him practicing here sooner rather than later as he starts to kind of ramp up towards his return. So as of right now, the Sharks do, they still have kind of the same guys on their IR right now, just as a quick reminder of who is on IR. So, of course, you have Logan Couture, who's been on IR since day one at the moment. Matt Benning, who just went on IR. And I think it's still kind of pretty mum on him at the moment. Oscar Lindblom starting to get back into it. But again, I think once he returns, he'll probably once he returns from injury, he'll probably get returned to the Barracuda because he's already cleared waivers, and since he hasn't played games, I don't think he won't have to and he's been injured, he won't have to go through waiver process again to go back. And then Ty Emberson, who's still not skating right now. Again, I'm pretty sure it's a groin injury with him, and those things can take a little bit to heal. So I assume they're going to be pretty slow and cautious with Ty Emberson. So it's crazy how just the Sharks have been juggling these injuries right now of just guys who are kind of just hanging out. No word on Vlasic yet, who's also been away from the team. They didn't say anything about him being at practice, so no word on what's up with Marc-Edouard Vlasic right now. So right now, the Sharks, you're probably going to see Giovanni Smith probably get back in the lineup, and then I would assume Jacob McDonald is going to be the extra defenseman / forward. That's the nice thing about McDonald, since he can kind of play both positions, where it gives you a little bit of roster flexibility, where if you need him to play forward, he's done a pretty good job of playing forward for the Sharks this year, and if you need him to play defense, he can go back to playing defense. So that's kind of where the Sharks are sitting at right now as they continue to kind of juggle this roster through some of their injuries. So yeah, we'll see. So expect pretty much what we've seen going into tonight's game against the Coyotes, and with Giovanni Smith probably sliding it into the fourth line role. So before we do get to Cam Lund, and we start talking about get to know Lund a little bit, what's kind of what's coming. We talk about his draft experience. We talk about, kind of all the interview process, especially with the Sharks. Remember, didn't have a second round pick when when going into that draft and drafting Lund high in the second round. Get to know him a little bit off the ice and all that fun stuff. So before we do all that, just need to take a quick break. If you are looking for the perfect gift for someone you love, why not tickets to something that they enjoy, whether it's music, sports, comedy, whatever it is. And that's where GameTime comes, because they have killer last minute deals. So maybe if you're like me and a bit of a procrastinator and you need something right away, GameTime comes in because they take all the guesswork out of buying tickets. Great thing about GameTime is, one, you get to see the view of the seats. There's nothing worse than buying tickets and you get there and you realize you have a crappy view. GameTime, you can see view for all the seats. So if you're like, oh, this view's maybe not that great, let me go check over here. This might be a better view. Actually, the only thing worse than buying tickets is when you go to check out and they slam a bunch of fees on top of you. GameTime does not do that. You know your prices up front. So you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. You can buy tickets in 2 seconds with 2 taps. Plus, they take all the guesswork out of buying with GameTime. So download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And now we bring in San Jose Sharks prospect Cam Lund. Cam, how's it going, buddy?
It's going good. How are you?
Not too bad. I caught you right now. I know you're busy right now with finals week, but I mean, this should be easier than any final you're taking right now. At least that's the hope right now. So I have to ask. I always ask, kind of every prospect or every player. When did you realize like hockey could be a thing for you?
Yeah, I think I kind of realized when hockey could be a thing for me. Probably growing up when I was younger, playing like youth hockey, everything. That's kind of where it all started, and I just kind of loved it from the beginning. And I mean, I never fell out of love with it, and it's just I keep falling more in love with hockey as I go
on. You're from Massachusetts. Did you grow up a Bruins fan?
Yeah, I've always been a Bruins game. It's always been like fun to go into the city and go and catch a game.
Who was your favorite player growing up then?
My favorite player growing up wasn't a Bruins player, actually. It was Sidney Crosby. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great players in the Bruins, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of kids your age, Sidney Crosby's a very popular answer, and he's a pretty good pick to be your favorite player growing up. So, I mean, now that you're starting to kind of getting closer to becoming a pro and stuff, who do you try to model your game after? Who's the guy that's like, that's who I want to be?
Yeah, I'd say Jack Eichel. I think I've been telling myself that since past, I don't know how many years, probably 5 years, just saying like kind of watching him through college and now what he's done in the NHL, just kind of just seeing how he plays and just trying to model my game as much as I can after him.
And we as Sharks fans have seen enough of Jack Eichel, unfortunately, especially since his trade to Vegas. But he's really good. So if you could beat Jack Eichel, I think we as Sharks fans would be pretty happy about that. So heading into the 2020 draft, what was your draft experience like? Did you have a lot of interviews? Like, kind of walk us through that whole experience heading into the draft.
Yeah, heading into the draft. Obviously at the combine, that's when you have all your interviews and everything. I ended up having 30 interviews out of 32 teams. So, I mean, I had a busy week there, which was obviously cool to go through an experience. But I thought all of them were great. And I think the Sharks interview, too, definitely stuck out as one of the better ones that I had.
Do you like going through the process? Are you like kind of peeking at the rankings, because there's a million mock drafts that come out and, rankings and stuff like that. Are you like kind of like, okay, where do they have me? Or you just try to kind of like keep your head down and see where things happen?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're going to see him on social media and everything. But I mean, for me, for the most part, I just kind of tried to not focus on that. And wherever I end up, that's where I end up. I can't control that.
So you mentioned you had an interview with the Sharks and, being an early second-round pick before the draft, right? The Sharks didn't have a second-round pick as they traded away to Arizona, if I recall correctly. And it wasn't until draft day when they actually came up, they moved back in the draft and acquired 2 more draft picks. So were you a little bit surprised that, the Sharks were interviewing you, especially with kind of where their picks were?
I mean, like I said, I had so many interviews, so it was definitely, it was hard to tell at the time, but like I said, I think the Sharks one went really well, and I thought that one definitely stuck out the most out of all of them.
And then draft day happens, right? So walk us through that, from kind of waiting to hear your name called to like the whole whirlwind experience with that, and going through the tunnel and taking the cheesy draft photos that they make every one of you guys take.
Yeah, so I mean, I brought my whole family was there, me, my mom, dad and brother were all there. So it was awesome for them to obviously go through that and experience it with me and kind of just like hearing your name call, it's just kind of like you black out for a second. You don't really know what to do. So, I mean, it was like, who do I hug first? Do I hug my dad? Do I hug my mom? But it was definitely
Who
a
was
cool,
it? Was it mom first? It's always mom first, right?
yeah, it was mom first. But it was definitely a cool experience to just like have them there with me and go through that.
And then, so you hear your name, you go through that, you shake your hand, put the jersey on, all that fun stuff, and then it's kind of like a whirlwind, right? You're taking photos, you're doing the press, like and then like how's that experience after the actual draft process, the actual
Yeah, I
draft
mean,
part?
yeah, after that, it's definitely busy with the whole pictures and talking to people and everything like that. But also at the same time, it's like this is like a once in a lifetime moment. So it's just kind of soak it all in and enjoy it.
And then like you're literally on a plane heading towards San Jose like the next day, right?
Yeah, I think it was a couple days after I went home and then I flew out the following day.
So what you have your first development or rookie camp. Of course, you light it up in the the 3-on-3 scrimmage, and you were definitely the buzz of Sharks talk after that. Kind of walk us through what happened, like with development camp and that whole process.
Yeah, I thought it was a great experience. I think they did a good job setting everything up there for all the prospects. Um, I've never been to California before either, so I mean, going to San Jose was definitely a cool spot to get down there and obviously see. But like I said, I thought they did a great job setting it up, and I thought it was all like planned out good for us. Everyone in the staff was great, great to meet all the other prospects and coaches, so I had a really fun time.
Um, and then who did you roommate with? I know they try to, usually they put some young guys, but they definitely have some like kind of older guys who are there. I know, guys like Eklund and some of the guys who've maybe been around. I think like Jasper Weatherby's usually was there, if I remember your first year, like having some of those guys who maybe been through it a little bit around.
Yeah, I think it was good to have some of those guys who have been there past times. They just kind of like get to know them and like tell you their experience and how it's going to be. So getting to make those connections and friends was obviously helpful.
Who'd you roommate the first year with?
Ooh. I forget who my roommate was.
It's okay. All right. So of course you went to Northeastern, where you're playing hockey right now. Was there a lot of schools that you were kind of looking, or were you like you wanted, since you're from Massachusetts, you wanted to go to a Boston kind of school? Like who was kind of in the competition for you?
Yeah, I mean, mine was a kind of a weird process. With the whole COVID thing, I accelerated that year to be a junior and like the whole rule with committing to like a school and
Mm-hmm.
everything. So I kind of knew I wanted to stay in Boston. So I had that figured out, and it was only like a week's process of talking to the Boston schools and ended up choosing Northeastern, which I thought was a great choice, and I'm glad I picked Northeastern.
You kind of mentioned the acceleration thing. Like a lot of guys, right? They go back for that kind of extra year, especially you played in the USHL. What's the jump like, especially going, being an 18-year-old playing in NCAA, and you're playing guys who are, 22, 23, 24 years old, as, 6 years older than you. What was that like?
Yeah, I think the biggest jump was probably just the strength part of it. And like you said, you have guys who are 5 years older than you. I mean, you're going into a corner with a 24-year-old. So it's definitely a little weird, but I say that was probably the biggest jump of it going into college, but I think I adapted pretty well to that and kind of just like in the summer just trying to keep getting stronger and stronger every year and just putting that mass on.
I know this year for Northeastern, it's a little bit of a tough start, but you guys seem to have found your groove recently. Of course, you guys beat the #1 ranked Boston College a couple weekends ago. What have you kind of learned from the tough start?
Um, I think the tough start has probably been good for us. I mean, um, I know like start of the year we have high expectations just like every team, and I know like having a tough start can be bad, but I feel like this tough start have helped us come together more as a group and figure out what we need to do to win games, and I think it's all starting to come together now.
Um, of course, I'm sure you like playing at home. What's your favorite non-home place to play?
Um, and there's a lot of cool spots. I'd probably say my favorite non-home is probably, I think probably BC this year. I mean, they have they have a packed rink every game, but BU is a cool place to play as well. I mean, any team you're playing in Boston, obviously could be a good game.
All right, guys, before we continue with Cam Lund, we get to know him off the ice a little bit, kind of course, find out if he wears socks with his skates. Before we get to all that, do need to take a quick break. And if you want to get into NFL action right before the playoffs start, I know the weather's getting colder. The NFL stays hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. It's $150 if your team wins. So if you think about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is super easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Guys, Christian McCaffrey touchdown. Just keep doing it. Okay, you're probably going to win. And watching Christian McCaffrey score touchdowns, I know it's been helping my fantasy team. It can help your wallet as well. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right. You mentioned BC, right? You had a hat trick against them last year. You followed up again this year. What's it? Is it just something magical about playing Boston College where you seem to be kind of put your best?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird that I scored 2 hat tricks against BC, but I don't know. I mean, it's always a fun game to get up for playing against BC. I mean, kind of like a rivalry. So, I mean, those games are easy to get up for, and I mean, obviously, when you have 3 goals, I mean, it makes it even better, and when you win the game as well.
So this year, your third goal was an empty netter. Last year, if I recall correctly, it was an overtime, which is a better feeling, the empty netter to kind of put the nail in the coffin, or the overtime to kind of take the heart out of them.
Yeah, I mean, empty netter was good just to kind of know you sealed the game and you don't have to wait and I don't know, stress out about it. But I mean, I'd probably say that was better. Just get the win and just know we're gonna win this game instead of having to wait it out and not know.
Especially with the start of you guys, having not won too many games. I think just get that monkey off the back, right, of finally getting that win. You mentioned the Boston schools. How big is winning the Beanpot, right? Northeastern, you guys are the defending Beanpot champions. For maybe those who aren't super familiar, but the Beanpot is like a big thing in Boston, right?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, you have BU, BC, and Harvard. Us obviously, all come together, play at the TD Garden, and it's always packed. I mean, you see all the fans above, in warm-ups. It's you have your whole entire school there rooting for you, which is awesome to see. So, I mean, winning that Beanpot last year was just an unreal feeling, and getting to see the whole school there cheer you on made it so much better. And just it's something I'll never forget.
And the bragging rights, right? The bragging rights.
Yeah, obviously.
Yes. This year is going to be, especially with how, Boston College and Boston University, with how stacked those programs are right now. And, you guys are starting to come along. It's going to be a really, really fun Beanpot this year. So, so you're on break right now. Heading into the second half of the season, what's your big focus?
I think our big focus is just starting in the right direction. I mean, kind of building off end of our first half and just kind of bring it into the next half, and just individually kind of just trying to better my game every day in practice and just keep playing well.
All right. A question I had to ask, because you guys have some really nice sweaters in Northeastern. If they are like, Cam, you get to pick which one you get to wear every day, which one are you picking? Is it the black one, the red one, or the white one?
I think our red ones. I think we don't.
That's the correct choice.
Yeah, I think those ones are sick. I know last year it was kind of we said it's the turning point of our season when we started wearing our red jerseys, started winning more, and just I think those are the best looking ones out of them all. I wish we wore them more, but yeah, they're really cool.
Yes, the red ones, they're really nice. So, I know you're in your second year, but I'm sure you're still thinking about the future, right? For you eventually going pro and hopefully signing your ELC some point. Have you started to think about that? Have you talked to the Sharks about like a timeline, or is it just kind of focus on trying to get better day by day right now?
Yeah, I'd say kind of just focus on day by day. I mean, you don't want to look too far ahead into the future. You kind of just want to focus on like the present. So, I mean, I'm just trying to focus on what I can do right now to make my game better, and hopefully in the future, I mean, it's all going to work out. But yeah, kind of just taking it day by day.
I do have to ask. So the Sharks, I don't know if you've noticed, they have a lot of Lunds, right? You have Eklund, you have Zetterlund, you have Granlund, you have the original Lund. Is that the key to the Sharks' success? Is just acquiring as many Lunds as possible?
Yeah, I've seen that too. I mean, it's a weird coincidence how there's so many Lunds on a team. So, I mean, that's pretty funny.
I mean, it's working right now, right? You can't go wrong
Yeah.
with it's working. So, let's get to know you a little bit off the ice. So, game day, are you a superstitious guy, a little stitious guy, or like a let it flow type of guy?
Yeah, I got asked this question the other day too, which is pretty funny. But I'd say I'm kind of just go with the flow. I mean, I'm not too superstitious of a guy. I mean, I'll do the same thing every day on my game day, but it's nothing like out of the ordinary. I mean, I like to take a nap, but other than that, it's kind of just go with the flow.
You're not like you have to wear the same socks or the same pair of underwear or anything like that for game day.
Yeah, no, nothing crazy like that.
You've seen the Connor McDavid socks, right? Where they're like holes in them and they look like they're from like 1850.
Yeah, they're all like chewed up and everything.
I mean, he is the best player in the world. So
It works for him, yeah.
yeah, it works for him. You mentioned the nap. Are you a coffee guy before the game or no?
Yeah, I'm a coffee guy before in the morning, take my nap, and then after that, I'll drink another coffee before the game.
Iced or hot?
Ice in the morning, hot before the game.
Okay. I mean, when you come to San Jose, it's probably going to be a little bit more of the ice blend, especially when it's like still 60 degrees in the middle of February. So, but I'm a hot coffee. It could be 110. I'm drinking hot coffee. So, I have the one question I ask everybody: are you a monster who does not wear socks with their skates?
No, I wear socks.
Is there anybody on the team? They can remain nameless, but is there anybody on the team, or have you had teammates who do not wear socks with their skates?
No, I think I've only no one on my team this year wears no socks. I know that, but I think maybe when I was on Green Bay, there was one guy who didn't wear socks, but yeah, I don't think I could ever not wear socks with my
Monster, right?
skates.
Literal monster,
Yeah.
right? Ryan Merkley famously no socks with his skates, but so I'll get you out here with a couple more. So when you're not training or in school and hockey, what's your favorite thing to do off the ice?
Definitely golf. I mean, I like to try to get out there as much as I can, like the summer. I mean, just playing with my brother. So, I mean, it's obviously something I always like doing. It's fun.
Again, San Jose, year round, baby. You can, yeah, that's one of the nice
Yeah,
things you can play.
around.
Year round golf. And then in the off season, when you're kind of away trying to, not playing golf, what's your favorite off season activity to do?
Just hang out with like friends and family. I mean, get together as much as I can with them. I mean, a lot of my buddies are off at school, so I can't see them as much, and obviously not seeing my parents all the time. But it's obviously nice to go out, get to see all of them together. I mean, we have a boat too that we like to go out on, so I mean, it's always fun to get out on the water as well.
Cam, you've said it all. Appreciate you spending some time with me. I know you got some more finals to get ready for. Best of luck this season. Stay healthy, and hopefully we'll see you in San Jose sooner than you realize.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Cam Lund. I know this year for Northeastern hasn't been kind of what they hoped and expected. They had losing Devin Levi, I think, is a big part of it. And just kind of some tough luck. But you can see with Lund's development how it's kind of progressing, right? And we know how much of a kind of a transition monster he can be, where just kind of carrying the puck, and you're seeing that continue. He's been playing against some of the top lines and stuff, like watching those BC games. He's playing against that Will Smith line. That is not an easy line to play against, and he's holding his own. So I think the results aren't there for Northeastern in the win-loss column, but you can see Lund, like, kind of, especially from year 1 to 2, you can really see that development coming forward. So it's gonna be cool to see how he continues to develop, and hopefully see him in San Jose one day being a big piece. I think he can be a big piece. You see that shot, and surviving in NCAA, right? Our good friend Billy Sullivan. It's a gauntlet, especially for these 18, 19-year-old kids as they're kind of working their way through it. So I think arrow up for Lund. Again, I know maybe the scoring production isn't where maybe he would like to be, but I think you can see it in the details, and I think the sky's the limit for this kid. So we'll be back next week. Of course, we'll break down the Sharks Yotes game and the Sharks Avs game. Jacob Peterson from the Barracuda joins as well. So we'll have that interview for you guys next week. So plenty of good stuff. Make sure you guys are following wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well, especially if you want to be an everydayer, right? You can also follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Locked On Sharks. You can follow me at My Fry Hole. Until next week, bye, friends.